we'd like to give a special thanks to Recon Velocity for your continued support of CBT News during these difficult times. We couldn't provide the much-needed news and information to the retail automotive industry without it. From our studios in Atlanta, this is CBT News.
Hi everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick with CBT News. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're so happy to have with us on the show Mr. Tom Maoli, who's president and CEO of Celebrity Motor Cars out of New Jersey, also a real estate mogul and host of Go Big or Go Home radio show. Love when you join us here, Tom. We get so many incredible comments when you're on. People know you from Fox News and all the other news organizations, so thanks for taking the time out of your schedule.
No, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Sure. So we talked to you, I think, around the middle of May. Here we are around the 10th of June. Talk to us. This is crazy. I mean, not only is the stock market seems to be doing well, but the automotive industry has seemed to come back in many areas of the country. I speak to dealers all over the country, and they're saying, we finished an incredible May. Have you found that? I mean, you're closer to the epicenter there, right?
You know, it's interesting. We had an incredible May, and June is lining up. Right now, we're on track to do the same, if not better, than we did last June regarding car sale volumes. You know, I called this a while ago. There's a pent-up demand. People have leases that are expiring. Yeah. They need to get into a new vehicle. And one of the things I did is the manufacturers in the middle of the pandemic had tons of inventory, and they were trying to dump it and unload it on the dealers, and everybody was in a panic. Nobody wanted to take that inventory. Right. And, they were offering, money on the cars, and I told my guys, take it all. I said, just take what you can get, because when this thing comes back, the person who has inventory is going to win the game. Right. And it's working.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And then of course there were some experts out there that said, get out of your used cars as quickly as you can, take them the auction, sell them, do whatever you got to do. And I think even you said, take everything back to 60 days, nothing over. However, now with the shortage of new cars, dealers are going, wait a minute, let me rethink that used car situation, because it's a perfect, you got to have something in the basket to sell.
Well, correct. And, it's interesting because, the manufacturers cut back production big time. Allocations are way down between now and the end of the year. But I have to tell you, when you look at economics, economics 101 is supply and demand. When the supply goes down and the demand is going up, guess what happens? Our gross profits go up as dealers. And you know what? We love this.
That's right. So let me ask you, you're obviously a big dealer, high volume stores, luxury stores at that. How do you figure this out? How do you sit there and say, wait a minute, our sales are up, our gross profits are up, we're in the middle of this pandemic that still isn't over with no cure. How do you make sense of that?
Well, like I said, I think it's pent up demand. I think people are tired of the whole pandemic thing. We'll get into what happened with all of the protests around the country. We'll talk about that. But, I think people are done emotionally and mentally with the pandemic. They know it's there. They know it's a risk. They're not going to be stupid. They're going to protect themselves. But, it's time to go out and live your life. I don't know if I said it on this show or I was on Newsmax last week and Fox News. I said, my analysis is that, if we were hit with a bomb, we would send our troops out to protect the U.S. safety and the prosperity of our country for future generations. Right. And you know what? I think that's where we're at. People need to, the prosperity is at risk here. And, it's time for people to get out and live their lives. Are there going to be casualties? Unfortunately, yes. And clearly, when it hits home, I feel bad. It's horrible for anyone to lose anyone, over a virus. But we have to live our lives, and we have to go on, because it's not just about us. It's about future generations. These businesses are historically generational, these auto dealerships.
Right. Yeah, I spoke to one analyst here just yesterday, and they said that be cautious, because yes, May was a good month. June seems to be a good month, but that could be, to your point, some pent-up demand in there. At the same time, you've got not as many cars being available on the new car side. That's going to hit here, shortly. And then you couple that with the government checks, the Trump checks that went out to everybody. those being spent now. And it's like, all right.
But you know what? Those checks were not big enough to buy a car. Those were small checks. We're talking $2,500. You know, even if he sends out another one, it's $5,000. You know, listen, to some families, that's a lot of money, and I clearly understand that. It's all relative, but that's not enough money to buy a car. This is an economic engine that's been going on for years in the auto industry.
Right.
And listen, transportation is one of the most important key factors to someone's life. You know, right. It's freedom. It gets you back and forth to the place that you can make your living. Right. It gets your family to the grocery store. I don't think we're stopping here.
So you're thinking that we might be hitting maybe a 15 million SAR or something like that? I mean,
I think so. And I think next year we come back even stronger because production will be up. And then by then, this thing has to, listen, it's going to get solved. Someone's going to come out with a vaccine. You know, the numbers have gone down. Yeah, you may get some spikes of numbers in certain areas of the coronavirus growing again. But, you know, I think we're on the downside of this. And you know, businesses are coming back strong. I have to tell you, you know, as a car dealer who owns multiple high-end car dealerships, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Lexus, I have to tell you, we've trimmed so much in our expense department of expenses during this process that when we come back, I think we're going to make a lot more profit.
So Trump will be the first president that will preside over the greatest employment situation and also the worst employment situation, and then back to the greatest employment situation. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think it's right. Listen, you know, you can find fault in anything, and you know, clearly, you know, I'm a Trump supporter. He's a friend of mine. I you know, you could find fault in anything, and people are finding fault in how he handled the PPP money and how it was distributed and who got it. But you know what? At the end of the day, it worked. Yeah. It bailed out a lot of companies, a lot of small businesses. It kept them alive.
That's right.
It kept people employed. And look what's happening. Look at the employment numbers. You know, day after, you know, month after month, the unemployment numbers are going down. Less people are on unemployment. More people are getting back to work. Yeah, you know, there was a report out today. They said people are not going to go back to the same jobs. Okay, guess what? You don't always go back to the same job when you get laid off. But you know what? You're going to get a job. Yeah. And as things come back, there's going to be more opportunities as businesses grow. Right. And listen, you can't run businesses without people.
Yeah. Digital retailing, here to stay?
Yeah. You know, listen, I think it was a shock to the system. I think people realize that they can do it that way. I think the manufacturers understand that they can now do it that way. I think it's always been here. It's here to stay. I don't think it ever was not here to stay. I think people were just afraid of it. But, you know, I find it interesting. You know, my daughter who, you know, just graduated college, she's got her car. It came back from college. She was talking about getting a new car. And she said, Dad, I want to drive it. I want to feel it. I want to touch it and get in the car and see what it's about. So, you know, listen, I think there's a percentage of the marketplace that will continue to grow regarding digital retailing, but there's a large percentage of marketplace that wants to go to a showroom. They want to test drive a car. They want to see what the car does. Listen, cars are emotional. You know, I'm a car guy. Yeah. I collect classic cars. I have a huge classic car collection. I go back to the 30s and 40s and 50s and muscle cars. And these are emotional. You get emotional about these cars. There's something about these cars when you get in them that sets, you know, pushes a button that's emotion. You got to get behind a wheel of a car to get emotion.
That's exactly right. It's the old adage in the car business. You know, if you don't take them on a demo drive, you're not going to close the deal, right? That's part of it. Get them feeling the car.
One of my greatest sales pitches when I got into business, I got all my salespeople together and I said, listen, here's the best, number one, the best thing you can do in a service department is tell your customer they don't need something. You've immediately gained their trust.
That's right.
I said, and the next thing you can do from a sales perspective, somebody wants to test drive a car, you know, a 5-minute test drive for $100,000 or a $70,000 vehicle. I don't know. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't correlate. I said, throw them a set of keys, let them take a loaner car, tell them to take it home, drive their family around, go shopping in it. And if it works for them, I said, you know what? They could buy the car. If not, tell them they can return it. You know, 85% of the times, you know, you don't return the puppy.
That's right. That's exactly right. It's the old puppy dog close. Hey, thank you for all the time, but I do want to touch on one thing that the country is going through right now, and obviously that's the civil unrest out there, and what we all witnessed on television, which was probably the worst thing we could see. with having this fellow human being, fellow citizen being basically killed right in front of us, right? And we're all still shocked, but obviously we've got the Black Lives Matter movement, out in the streets in a big way, and there's obviously riots and looting. We've gone through that. I think that might be over now, but you employ a number of people in your company, and you're close to the president. What's your take on all of this?
Listen, Black lives do matter. All lives matter. But it's, the way I see it is it's the way that they're going about it. You want to listen, no one's happy about what happened. Clearly, my position is that it was wrong and that justice has to be served. But, at the end of the day, it's not the way you go about it. You don't start looting stores. You don't start turning cars over and burning police cars to get your message across. There's a way to do it. And, there's a system that was set up by our forefathers, and there's an election process. And, if you're not happy with what's going on, get out there and cast your vote and change the person who's in office, whether it be Trump, whether it be your governor, whether it be your senator. Change that and make a change. Get out there and do something. Don't hurt other people, their livelihoods. You're just making it worse.
Yeah, for sure. And it's one of these things that I think rocked everybody, to the core to see that. And this, obviously, these protests and what we're seeing right now, hopefully will get enough attention from the leadership of the country. And as you pointed out, governors and mayors and senators and everyone else to affect change, right? I mean, that's what this is all about. So.
That's right. But you know what? If you want to affect change, like I said, don't go loot stores. Don't go destroy someone else's livelihood or their property. Yeah. Go out and make a change. Cast your vote. Get a job. Make your community better. Get those people together and get them to do something in the community to make the community better and stronger and show them how valuable you are. Because doing what you're doing is degrading.
Right. So when are we going to see a Tom Maoli for governor?
Well, it's interesting. I've been asked, and I'm not so sure I want to take a pay cut, but
you could be like Trump and just donate your salary to charity.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I've actually been asked. Listen, our state needs a governor. I'm not a supporter of Governor Murphy, and he knows it. I think the state knows it, and he knows it. I think. Listen, clearly it's not an easy job.
Yeah.
Like I said before, you can criticism, you can find fault in anything that anyone does. He's doing the best he can, but I don't think he has the ability. I think his hands are tied. And I think, our state in the state of New Jersey, we're one of by the way, the most densely populated states in the union. We're a suburb of one of the greatest cities in the world, which is New York City. We need to be a much better state. We need to have, more prosperity and drive business back to our state, not drive it away. But, that's for another day.
That sounded like a stump speech to me, and it was good. So you got my vote, Tom. And I don't even live in Jersey. So Tom Maoli, thank you so much for joining us here on CBT News. Always a pleasure, and hopefully we can visit back with you again and see how things are going next month.
Thanks for having me on, and keep up the good work because your show is amazing.
Thank you so much.